Nobody stars Bob Odenkirk as this seemingly average family man, who he refers to himself as a nobody. He seems to have a pretty normal life. He works a typical 9-to-5 job. He has a wife and 2 kids. Seems like your average Joe. But when something happens in the beginning of the movie, which I'm not going to say just in case you haven't seen the trailers, we start to learn throughout the movie that this nobody really isn't a nobody, so to say. When I first saw the trailers, I was immediately excited for this movie, mainly because I'm an action movie fan. Action movies are my favorite genre of movies, especially when they're done well. I just love the thrill of action movies. And because it's coming from one of the producers of the John Wick trilogy. The John Wick trilogy, I love. I love all 3 of them. So there already seemed to be some legitimacy when I saw this trailer. And another reason I was excited was because recently filmmakers have been paying attention to what people have been saying about action movies, and we're starting to get some really great action movies. There was a long period from like the mid-2000s all the way to like 2014 where action movies, for the most part, were just either mediocre or just plain bad. Small little history, in the 2000s when The Bourne Identity came out, filmmakers paid attention to how that movie was made and saw that this trilogy of movies was kind of building a world for this character, Jason Bourne, and it was done in a pretty different action style that we haven't seen before. And thus, shaky cam was introduced for that movie. And filmmakers saw that and basically said, oh, we can make an action movie, then just shake the camera during the action scenes and add a whole bunch of stuff to our story that's not really needed, but people will go see it because people liked it in The Bourne Identity and the other Bourne movies, so they'll like it for action movies for years to come, right? Well, actually, no. Very quickly, that filming style for action movies that The Bourne Identity started got old really, really quick. Movies like Columbiana, Alex Cross, Taken 2 and Taken 3, The A-Team, these were all movies that took that style and just really made it bad. And that's people saw that, and that seemed to be what people wanted for a long period of time. But then in 2014, a little movie called John Wick came out. And it was incredibly successful, didn't follow any of those tropes that those other action movies followed. And then filmmakers started seeing dollar signs and saying, oh, people like it this way too. We did have some gems in that long period of action movies like Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol, Casino Royale, Skyfall, that's another one. But a lot of people really started to pay attention to John Wick and how successful that movie was. And then that started another string of action movies that were surprisingly really good. The other 2 John Wick movies are another example of that. Mad Max Fury Road, the last 2 Mission Impossible movies. The point is, action movies learned from John Wick, the first one, and we got really great ones in recent years. So I was really looking forward to the producer of John Wick doing another movie that seemed very similar to John Wick, and I was hoping it was good. And it was. It was really good. I really enjoyed Nobody. Had a lot of fun with it, had a lot of great moments, a lot of humor, a lot of great action. Despite it being very similar to John Wick, I feel like I need to mention that. Mainly because people who love the John Wick trilogy are probably going to go into this movie and really point that out as a negative. I'm fine with it because it's made by one of the producers of John Wick. And that really seemed to be their intention when they were making this movie. At least that's what the trailer showed. If you just watch the trailer, you can just automatically tell that they wanted to make a John Wick movie without it actually being John Wick. And in a way, the film kind of comes off as an homage to John Wick. So I don't really consider it a negative because it's from one of the producers. I mean, other people might, and if you did, that's fine. Didn't bother me, and I don't really consider it a negative because it really did seem like that was their intention. But probably the biggest thing that people are going to take away from this movie, including myself, is Bob Odenkirk. Oh my god, this guy was great. This guy was amazing as this average, seemingly average man who has this particular set of skills that just kicks a lot of ass. He did a lot of training for this movie. There's been videos going around Facebook from movie websites that have been showing, kind of interviewing him about his training for this movie. He knew he had to do a lot of physical stuff, and he really committed to it. Him alone is the prime reason to go see this movie. And the action didn't disappoint at all. It was a lot of fun. A lot of the action moments in this movie did kind of play off for, like, not necessarily humor, but it's the type of action that when the fight scenes are going on, you're kind of smiling to yourself and giggling because it's so well filmed and well handled, and you're being very entertained by it. And even though the story is very similar to the first John Wick movie, I liked it. I liked how simple it was. Again, going back to those early 2000s or mid 2000s action movies, most of them really are convoluted. They put a lot of stuff in those movies because they feel like they needed to put stuff in there to seemingly, I guess, raise the stakes, but they all came off, most of them came off as convoluted. So I like the fact that this story is just simple. Yes, it's taken from another action movie, but it's simple and it's well done. I've said this before, if you're gonna take an element or multiple elements from another movie into your movie, that's fine. You just gotta make it your own and you gotta do it well. And I think they did, at least in my opinion. Again, a lot of people are gonna just view this as just a copy ripoff of John Wick, and that's fine. For me, it still had enough of its own thing to feel like its own thing, but those elements it did take from John Wick, they did it pretty well. However, I will say that I do wish that his wife and kids in the movie were a little bit more developed than they were. It's enough to care a little bit, but they could have done with more development of them. Also, the villain of the movie is very, very weak. It's not that his performance is bad. No, everybody's performance in the movie is good. It's just that the way his character was written, I feel like wasn't as good as it could have or should have been. Also, while I was watching it, I was kind of thinking, his inclusion in the movie wasn't really all that needed. And let me explain why. And I guess you can kind of consider this a spoiler if you haven't seen the trailers, but if you have seen the trailers, then I'm not spoiling anything. The movie really advertised itself as Bob Odenkirk's character. He's going back to his old ways, his old badass ways, because of a home invasion that happens. And it seemed to be he was going after those people that broke into his house. And he does do that throughout the movie. But I kind of wish that that was just the main focus of the movie. Without giving away any more, also, there's something that happens, I guess, kind of in the middle of the movie. It's the start of the second act of the movie. And that kind of brings in the main villain of the movie after that one scene happens. And then, it kind of goes from there. The people who broke into his house, it's kind of like in the beginning of the movie. And I kind of wish that home invasion stuff and him going after those two guys that broke into his house would have been the main movie. But that's not to say the rest of that stuff that happens after the home invasion stuff is bad. No, it's still very entertaining. It's just the villain himself should have been a lot better than it was. The rest of the movie is really entertaining and was honestly a little better than I was hoping it would be. If you're looking for just a fun action movie to waste an hour and a half and have good action, good humor, decent characters, and a decent story, then I would definitely recommend checking out Nobody. In fact, I would say it's worth picking up on Blu-ray when it comes out. I know I will be. The movie's in theaters now. It's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. So just like always, guys, let me know what you thought of Nobody if you have seen it down in the comment section. And are you hoping for a sequel for this movie? Because there was a little tip on the nose that they might do a sequel to this movie. Again, I'm not going to spoil it, but there is a little hint that they're interested in doing a sequel. I wouldn't mind a sequel. Like I said, I had a lot of fun with it. But whatever your thoughts on everything is, let me know down in the comment section. And again, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I'm still going to do my review for Kong Skull Island and Godzilla King of the Monsters leading up to Godzilla vs. Kong. And I got a lot more videos planned out very soon, so look forward to all that coming very soon. Again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and share this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe right here if you haven't already. And I'll see you all in my next video.